This little video is designed for parents to see how to access Google Classroom through the parent emails and through connection with their child. So I am also a parent of a child in our school district, and I have received an email from my son's teacher asking me if I would like to receive weekly summary emails of my son's progress, which will include missing and upcoming work as well as new posts that his teacher places there. Now, one of the things I note right away, and I really like this, is that the last name is not included on this front screen. So if I received this in error and this was not my son, I can reject it and say, I'm not the guardian, and notify back to the teacher that there was either a typo made or just in the visual tracking of entering the email addresses that an error was made. Now, there's another interesting piece on here in that you don't need to have a Gmail or a Google account to accept. So parents, this is an invitation to you to receive either a daily or a weekly email outlining your child's progress utilizing Google Classroom as our mechanism of delivery. So I'm going to accept this, and it's reminding me as to which account I'm signed in. If you're signed in at all, if you're not signed into the browser you're working on, you won't see this, but it's giving me the option to switch my account if I'd like, but I'm just going to accept this. So now I'm on the page that asks me how often would I like to receive an email of my son's activity. And my choices are weekly, daily, or no summaries. Well, I would not recommend any parent select no summaries from that. I would really encourage you to select between the daily and the weekly. And in light of the fact that we are in such an unusual position during this COVID virus, I would encourage you to select the daily updates. Perhaps when things return to normal, you might wish to change that to weekly, and you will have that choice at the bottom of every one of those summary emails that you get. So I would like to have daily emails, and my time zone looks good. So I'm going to learn more. So it's telling me email summaries are sent. There's nothing I need to do here in terms of saving. Then I can choose learn more, and it takes me to Google's Classroom Help, and this is specifically the help content for parents. So it's got some links to some other things for you. And it's got this nice little sample as to what the email that you will receive looks like. So this is obviously not my son. This is an example that they've put on for parents to look at so you know what to expect. So if this is my child, it tells me my child is missing some work from last week in US history course and in his English and American literature course. And maybe as a parent, I'm not surprised. Perhaps my child was sick and I expected this. But if I've been caught off guard by this, I think I need to have a conversation with my child. There's also some work that's coming up due next week. That's a great heads up for me because, we've got some things going on. We're a busy family. So I can see that he's got something for history due again next week, as well as this overdue one, and something due in his marine biology class. So then if I continue scrolling, I'll see each class, the name of the teacher teaching it, and kind of what's going on in the class. So there's an assignment, there's the due date, there's a question that's been posted, another due date, here's the American literature summary, here's the marine biology summary. And so I can adjust my settings and I can unsubscribe at any point in time. So if you set it up as being you're going to receive daily emails right now, then when things go back to what we would call normal, you can make your adjustments to that. Now, through this time of COVID-19 quarantine, we would really love to have parents sit side by side with their child from time to time and take a look at what is going on in Google Classroom. So I am on this screen. This is my teacher screen. So this is our student view in Google Classroom. When a child logs in, they will see a card for each of their classes. And different teachers may set this up differently. There are lots of ways to approach our usage of Google Classroom, And so you may not have identical usage, but you will always have these little cards. They will say what the purpose of this particular classroom is. So it may say math, it may say chemistry, it may say phys ed. We can use Google Classroom for all kinds of things. Then it's going to give the name of the teacher, and it's going to give the image of a teacher. Then we also see what's due and coming up, and then I can open my work right from here if I'm a student, or I can go into my Google Drive and open the folder that contains my work. We're going to find these inside of the classroom as well, so I'm just going to carry on and I'm going to click on the classroom, and now I am in as a student, and I can see over here at a glance my due dates. This one has its permissions open, so I would be able to ask a question. So I didn't find the attachment for the work that is due Tuesday. And I can post that. I could add a screenshot if I wanted to, and I could post that for my teacher. Now, some teachers may have this shut down so that the communication cannot take place here, and that's fine. Any communication that takes place on this screen can be seen by all of the students in the class. And depending on the class, different groups have almost a different group personality. Depending on the class, this may be available to students, or it may not. If students are too young to be able to handle this kind of responsibility, or they've just demonstrated through usage of the classroom that they're not quite ready for this, this can be shut down. But they still have the ability to contact their teacher. When our kiddos go into the classwork tab, they've got a little different view. Now, if a teacher is not using topics yet, and that may be something that evolves over time, if there's just a few assignments so far and nothing has been categorized into topics yet, it's going to look much like the stream. It's just going to be a reverse chronological set of assignments and materials. So that may lead to the question, what is the difference between stream and classwork? Well, once we start using topics, the teacher can apply a topic or a category, if you will, to the item that they are putting on to Google Classroom for students. And teachers can change the sequence. So I'm going to flip over to a teacher screen for a second, and you are going to notice a couple differences. Right now, I am on the teacher view, and as the teacher, I can shuffle the order. And so you'll see over here that as I shuffle the order changes over here. This is not alphabetical. It is based on the order in which I, the teacher, drag my topics. So you may see some changes from day to day in your child's Google Classroom depending on what is being taught, learned, and discussed. So we encourage you as the parent to sit with your child, take a look at their assignments, talk to them about it. There's another piece here that's called View Your Work. And so as the student, if I click into that, that's going to bring up a listing of what the assignments are in this class. You can see that this child has received some grades on some things. The little speech bubbles over here indicate that there's a conversation open with the teacher on these things. And so it's a real quick at a glance how we're doing with these assignments. So we see that there's something coming up tomorrow, but that's already been done and graded, so we've got nothing to worry about there. We've got some things assigned with no due date. Okay, so here we are on the summary of the assignments for the CAMI PD course, and the child's name is Learning Support Teacher Division account. It's just a dummy account that I have for creating some demonstrations. So if we click on this About Me assignment, we can see what is attached to it. And if we want to view the details, it will bring up the details about the assignment. So you would see all of the teacher instructions regarding this. If anyone in the class, if class commenting is enabled, if anyone has made a comment or asked a question about the assignment, you would see that there. And then over here is your work. So instead of using the share feature that all Google Docs and Google Slides have, when we're working through Google Classroom, we use a button called Turn In. And so I can add more stuff right here before I turn it in. And I've also got this document. So let's look at this document. Let's click on it, and it's going to load the attachment that my teacher made for me. And this one actually comes up as a blank sheet. So parents, don't think that this is a totally insane thing. This is actually an excellent strategy for utilizing in Google Classroom. And so you may see your child receive a completely blank document. My child has completed the assignment. This is excellent work. Up here in the corner, right beside the share button that I've said don't use that to turn in, you could turn it in directly from here. Or if you were not yet done, that's no problem. You can close it down and return to work on it tomorrow. It's attached right here. So if we pretend that a 24-hour cycle has passed and I'm going back in, I'm going to continue working. When I open that from within Google Classroom, all of my work is still there. As long as I don't click that X. If I click that X, I'm basically tossing the work that I've done in the trash. So as you sit by your little people and talk to them about their usage, you want to make sure they know not to toss that in the trash. Now, if accidents happen, if that did happen by accident, you can contact the child's teacher and the work may be able to be retrieved. Or the student could add or create, and we could start a new document and do the work we know we need to do. So you've got a couple of choices there. When they're done, they hit that Turn In button. It asks, is this what you want to be attaching when you turn it in? And if it's not, you can cancel if there was something else needed to be added, for instance. And then I hit Turn In. And this keeps our workflow really, really simple. What that just did is it put that into the teacher's Google Classroom as being a completed assignment. Okay, so now as the teacher on my classroom, I find that I now have one turned in assignment. So if we look at it, but as a teacher, I can now look at this student's work. If it's ready to actually be graded, I can mark it. I can give some feedback on things. I can put some comments on things. I can give a grade if it is done, and I could say something like, great work. That was really interesting to read. And that comment is only between myself and the student who is learning support teacher. I can return the grade and I could say 30 out of 42. And then I return the grade to the student. Okay, so I'm now back on the student view, and we're going to go view your work. And now we see that this assignment has a 30 out of 42 grade. And if we go in and we view the details, you see that it is right here. Now, if a child wanted to resubmit, we could open the document up again. We can make some changes to it, so we can add more to it. And then we can resubmit it. So I'm going to close the document. I can resubmit that to my teacher. It's telling me what I'm going to be submitting, and I can turn it in. One last thing to point out is that the student has control to unsubmit something. So just like if they were in a physical classroom and they put a piece of paper into the hand-in box that was the assignment they wanted to submit, and in 10 or 15 minutes they remembered there was something else they wanted to do to that before handing it in, well, they could walk over to that box and they could take their paper back. On Google Classroom, we use the unsubmit button. So the question is, do you want to unsubmit to add or change attachments? Just don't forget to resubmit once you're done. So students don't need to ask teachers for permission to have their document back. They can unsubmit it, open it back up, make some changes, and then resubmit it. So that's a quick in and out of Google Classroom, kind of how it functions and what you can expect to see on your child's screen, in your email summaries, and I've even shown you a little bit of how it works on a teacher's end.